welcome to our listeners throughout the 50 states of the US of America and around the world, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Love knows no boundaries. I'm hoping you're safe, feeling the sunshine of the heart. Even on a cloudy day, the heart is shining. It is so precious to be here with you. You realize that? Do you feel that? Do you sense that as you listen along, as we share these ideas, these stories, these quote of the day? It's the quote of the day. As we do this, we only have one chance. We only get one shot. This uniqueness will pass. Now, of course, I guess you can always just listen to a lesson, listen to an episode again. I guess you can. Really, what are we doing here? It's not so serious. We've got our quote of the day. What is the quote of the day? What are we up to? Episode 34. Can you believe it's episode 34 already? The quote of the day goes like this. Here we go. Are you ready for it? Pay attention. Come on, children. Learning time. This is not school. This is something very different. That could actually be a quote. Anyway, I digress. The quote of the day. Here we go. Ready? Think, do, feel, be, experience, and so on and so forth. It's a directive. I'm telling you to think, to do, to feel, to be, to experience, and so on and so forth. And continue the line of reasoning. Now, can you see what all those things have in common? Can you see what comes next in the sequence? Thinking, it's funny because thinking is so much often caught up in so many different ideas of what it is. The experience of thinking is something quite varied, and so many people are arrested by their process of thinking. They think that thinking is really central to their process. And then we get to doing, which is these are action-centered people. These are people that if you film them and there's no sound, then you can see their behavior. You can see who they are. You can see what sort of life they are living. They are very much action-based. And then there's the feeling center, which is the people that have a heart sense. They have a emotional sense. They are driven by their sensations in the body. And then there's the being way of living. There's the being process. There's the being attitude. And I hope I'm not giving too much away about what it is that all these things have in common. It's a general attitude. It's a general orientation. It's a sense of what it is that's behind your whole process of life. It's your higher awareness, we could even say. But being is far different to thinking, doing, and feeling. And this is even revealed within the way that we talk about being senses, being attitudes. When you're being creative, you say, I'm being creative. You don't say, I'm doing a poetry, I'm doing a music, I'm doing a painting. Well, you can say, I'm doing a painting. It is an action in a sense, but you say, I'm being creative. And experience, it might look like experience applies to all of these, right? Because we have the experience of thinking, the experience of doing, the experience of feeling, the experience of being. And of course, we can even say the experience of experiencing, which exactly reveals that this thing of ever-expanding largeness with your attitude towards life and your process is the exact thing which you must continue on with. That is the so on and so forth. That is the next step in your exploration. And so much of the attitude towards life requires exploring all of these things. It requires thinking about things. It requires having time where you are mind-centric, where you listen to people talk And they give you different stories, different concepts, different things to mull over in your mind. And that's all very well and good. And I think with the informational sphere that we live now, that's quite accessible. Yeah, you don't have to go far to hear people talking. Every man and his dog's got his podcast and his YouTube channel. And of course, please subscribe to the Andrew Lake Podcast. And of course, this quote of the day is available on Etsy, the Acid Quote Tees Etsy store. It's a print-on-demand business. Every time you purchase an Acid Quote tee, you are supporting me directly. This is my merchandise store. This is what we're working on. This is the quote of the day. This is the thing that we're all putting together. This is the project, Andrew Lake Podcast, in collaboration with Acid Quote Tees. But to continue on with what we're saying also, doing this thing of moving the body, actions that involve hands-on. And of course, some people misunderstand thinking as a doing. And in a sense, in a way of talking, in a way of conceptualizing it, thinking can be a kind of doing. I'm doing some thinking. Yeah, we have this phrase, I'm doing some thinking. Where really, if we're going to be neat with our psychology, if we're going to be neat with our conceptualizing, phenomenological experiencing and personal subjective experiencing, then we would say that doing is only ever the things that you would see if you film someone, whatever you can see them doing on that film without the sound, then that is the doing. Now, it might be that they are talking, and you can say, well, they are talking. That is the doing. That is the extent of the mind. That is the extent of the action that involves words. If you see someone's mouth moving and their hands gestures happening, then you would say, well, that's a kind of doing. So talking is a kind of doing, and talking is very much closely related to thinking. And yet, beyond doing, and I mean, you know what? I really hate that Nike has this catchphrase, just do it. It seems like these big brands, these corporate products have a monopoly on insights that are, well, I mean, this is why we have the quote of the day, right? This is exactly what we're trying to fight against. It's these catchphrases that are insightful in a sense, and yet they've been bastardized by the corporate world. They've taken a little piece of wisdom and put it onto something that is cunning, something that is fake, something that is frivolous, something that is taking all that it can for itself and causing a lot of damage by what it gives. And of course, the phrase, just do it, well, that's a very powerful phrase. And I wish it wasn't copyrighted by Nike. And I really don't like Nike, if you haven't guessed. I really don't like big corporations. They are very bad, very bad. I very much don't like them. So that's why you should support the little guy and listen here to these little quotes. But anyway, just do it. On to feelings. Let's brainstorm a little bit about feeling. Like, feeling is the emotional intelligence. It is the way that you experience sensations of the body through emotion. And emotion is very much marginalized. Emotion is the thing that we really do need to take steps towards opening. Emotion is absolutely critical for walking the path of love. There's no way you're going to open your heart. There's no way you're going to find your way on the path of love without coming into your feelings. Feelings are the gateway. Feelings are the door into deeper love, deeper experiences, deeper openings. And it's funny that you can take any door. If you walk into the feeling of anger, if you walk into the feeling of frustration, if you walk into the feeling of jealousy, or any other dark emotion, any other hurt that you feel, well, that becomes a process that you experience. And as you experience it, it unfolds into something new. Yeah? That's the interesting thing about feelings and emotions, is that they transform. Thinking is not like that. Thinking goes around and around in circles. And the way that thinking actually transforms is by putting you into feeling. Thinking takes far too much credit for transformation. Thinking really doesn't give a lasting change. It doesn't give a foundational change. But when you feel different, when you work with emotion, that is a lasting change. That is transformation. That's when you wake up and you go, I'm a totally new person today. I've got a totally different outlook. I've got a totally different way of thinking, and you see that it's actually because of the way that you're feeling. The way to really change your mind and your actions is to change your feeling. Feelings are far more foundational than thinking and even doing. Now, to say a little bit about being, and I mentioned just a few moments ago about being creative. Yeah? This also comes up in relationships where you say, you're being helpful. You're being difficult. You're being annoying. You're being whatever it is, positive or negative. You're being this or that in a roundabout way, which is an ascribing of a quality to your essence, to your who it is that you are, your identity. And we say being, even though it is a behavior, yeah? Just to take one example, you're being annoying. When someone's being annoying, you might say, oh, well, you're tapping, or you're making a sound that's obnoxious or irritating, or that I don't like. You're tapping on your practice pad, your drum practice pad. Wait, I've got one here. Hang on. This reminds me of a funny story. Here, this sound. Let's see if this can happen. Is that annoying? I actually do need to practice the practice pad a lot more. It's been quite a while since I've I really should make a habit of that. That's one of the things that's been getting away from me. Along with piano practice. Oh my goodness. A friend of mine for many years was a jazz drummer, and he would spend hours and hours on the practice pad. And one of his things was like, where can he find a place to practice that doesn't annoy people? And he did even have his own practice studio. But of course, when he was traveling or on tour and living with other people, he would practice the practice pad. And it's a pretty annoying sound for someone who's not into jazz drumming. But anyway, years later, he changed life directions and became a lawyer. And the other day, this was actually quite recently, he was doing his work as a lawyer, working from home, and some new neighbours had moved in recently. And they were I think they were upstairs from him. But anyway, the thing is that these new neighbours had a drum kit, and they would practice. As I understand it, it's an electric drum kit, which means that when it's not on, it has the sound of a practice pad. So it's the exact same sound as this tapping that I demonstrated just here. But he was telling me about this, and he was just like, mate, if this is not karma, then I don't know what is. You know, the payback of him wanting to work from home as a lawyer and then the tapping sound coming. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's so funny because we conceptualize karma as a very roundabout, long-winded, complex, sort of mystical, you never really know how it's going to work kind of way. And yet sometimes it is like literal. Like if you annoy people with your practice pad and you're tapping, then sometimes someone's going to annoy you with their practice tapping, practice pad, drum practice tapping. So, yeah, it's funny how life is, isn't it? It's quite quirky. It's quite interesting what happens. But anyway, back to what we're saying. The quote of the day, available now on Acid Quote Tees. You are being annoying. Being is distinctly different to feeling, doing, and thinking. And beyond that, you have experiencing. What is it that you experience? Energy, sensations, perception, a situation or a scenario. Experience often involves a scenario, which is a time and a place and an event, an unfolding of an event. And this quote, think, do, feel, be, experience, and so on and so forth, is like, well, can you think what the so on and so forth is? Can you see what the next step is, the next enlargening is? Well, I can tell you. I mean, I can think of my own process. I can think of my own attitude. I can think of the things that I've explored with my own awareness, which is that not only should you think, do, feel, be, and experience, but you should also perceive. You should explore your perception dynamics. You should spend time looking, spend time smelling, spend time being in the senses. And not only that, furthermore, or so forth, as we should say, you must expand. You should spend time opening, spend time coming into something larger, dissolving boundary, becoming bigger. And the list goes on, right? This is why we say so on and so forth, because there's so many things you can do. You can dream. You can taste psychedelic consciousness. You can evolve. You can change. You can create. Yeah, perhaps that's a being mode in a sense, but creating is in and of itself its own mode. Even beyond all that, you can have a beautiful day. You can enjoy presence. You can enjoy now. Yeah, the power of now. Eckhart Tolle, Adyashanti, Sadhguru. Yeah, this is all important stuff. This is all amazing stuff. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you enjoy your times. I hope you venture forth with the so on and so forth of all the beautiful things we are discussing here, all the beautiful things we are enjoying in this life. Life is here to be enjoyed. Life is here to be an exploration, an experimentation. Try different attitudes. Try different ideas. Make things vast. Make things a myriad of different flavors. We're here to feast. We're here to enjoy the full spectrum. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope this isn't too much preachy. Head on over to Acid Quote Tees. Stay cute. Enjoy your times. And we'll be back very soon with more. Subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Share your favorite episode with a friend. Support the little guy. This is the Andrew Late Podcast. Sending you love. We'll be back once again with the next episode. Stay cute. Bye-bye.